Welcome back. It's Crane and the Cowboy. Here we are at the end of June, heading into the long dog days of summer, Patrick. And these are interesting times in which we live. How'd you like to be one of these guys who does advertising and promotion at the Pentagon? Because you're no longer necessarily looking for a few good men in the Marine Corps, but I guess be all you can be still holds.
Yeah, you're looking for a few LGBTQ, P, R, and X, and Y. So
right.
Now we're going to have transgenders in the military. I wonder what this is going to do to force readiness. It seems like we're turning the military into some kind of social experiment, and that's never good.
Never thought you'd be nostalgic for Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
That's right, exactly. But I mean, they had a study, and now they're going to have 90 days with teach people. We got to teach people how to kill our enemies. That's what we're supposed to be teaching them to do, not teaching them all this other social nonsense. So I don't know. I think you're going to have a rush on people joining the Army so they can get the free surgery.
Well, these are interesting times, as I mentioned. Another story we're following for you here on thelibertyplaybook.com. We've been talking about, and there was some historical significance to this. Hillary Clinton, who is a presidential candidate, has this email controversy, server in her house. There are links to a pay-to-play within the Clinton Foundation as the Secretary of State might travel around the world, meet with a world leader. Suddenly there's a contribution to the Clinton Foundation. But now, the Attorney General of the United States, the highest-ranking law official in the country, did something she really shouldn't have done.
She flies into Phoenix Airport. Bill Clinton's plane's parked on the tarmac. Her plane's parked there. He waited till she got there. So he's not going to have a conversation, which we call in the legal trade ex parte. He's not supposed to have conversations. And she says, we just talked about our golf games and our grandkids. If I was Paul Ryan, I'd subpoena her right now under oath. I want to know what you talked about. And I'd subpoena her husband, too, because he was sitting there.
Well, it's one thing for her to accidentally run into Bill Clinton, but for Bill Clinton to wait for a half an hour, and he's not, I don't think he's doing it just to show her pictures of his newest grandchild.
No, I mean, this was such a setup, and the media, we were watching a little bit of the media coverage. Well, they know each other. Are you kidding? I mean, I can't believe there's not outrage in this country about the Attorney General of the United States meeting with a subject, and he's probably the subject of this probe, too.
And Patrick, you know the way these things work. Both of them are traveling with a large entourage. That's why they're on private planes. They're not just sitting in 1A on Delta, changing planes in Phoenix.
Yeah, and somebody knew she was going to be there. Somebody on his plane, hey, let's wait till she's here and you can go squeeze on over. And I'm sure, it's his typical Clinton way, they probably thought they were going to get away with it. But nowadays, there's cameras everywhere. But her answer was disgusting, and she should recuse herself from this case forthwith.
But how do you, if you're the Attorney General, how do you recuse yourself? Because if the FBI comes and has something, anything on her, the Attorney General has to make a decision whether there'll be an indictment or not.
She should say, I recuse myself, and it goes to the deputy. That's how it works. She should say, I recuse myself from this. I will not be the one making a decision on this case because I now am tainted. And that means that the deputy would take that responsibility. This is so outrageous. And then she says, well, there's career prosecutors working on this thing, and if there's a message to the FBI, get this thing done.
Just about a year since this thing was first dropped on the lap of the Attorney General. What's going on with it?
I don't know, but I got news for you. The Clintons are going to try and squeeze their way out of this one, and if they do, the Republic's done.
This is the kind of a thing, though. On this website, we talk about civics and the government and the Constitution, and this is the kind of a thing, and we don't know exactly what they talked about, and we're not conspiracy buffs, but this is the kind of thing that Americans lose faith in the system. Whether Hillary's guilty or whether she's innocent, it should be a fair proceeding. To have her husband, who is impeached, who knows a little bit about the justice system, to be talking to a sitting Attorney General when his wife is under the magnifying glass, it just doesn't make sense.
And as Bob Dole said when you were covering him back in '96, where's the outrage?
Right, absolutely right. More of the Liberty Playbook coming your way next. We'll talk about the latest polls in the Trump-Hillary Clinton race. They do change from day to day, but this one's kind of interesting. That's next.
Huddle up!